Okay. So on the sagittal view of the brain, or the mid-sagittal cut that we made, you have the cerebrum up here. This is the cingulate gyrus, which is part of the major part of the limbic system. Below that is the commissural fibers, that is the corpus callosum. Here's the septum pellucidum that prevents us looking into the lateral ventricle here. Below that opening into the lateral ventricle would be the fornix, also commissural. You have a pathway here that's the interventricular foramen that goes from lateral ventricle to third ventricle here. This is all third ventricle within the diencephalon. In the center of the diencephalon, you can see the interthalamic adhesion, or the intermediate mass. That's commissural, that joins both sides of the thalamus. This is the epithalamus, this pathway here to this pink structure. That's the pineal gland that releases melatonin and controls our sleep-wake cycles. This anterior part just below the thalamus is the hypothalamus, and it would be associated with the optic nerve and the optic chiasma. Hanging from that area would be the infundibulum and the pituitary gland. Just beneath the hypothalamus area here, we have also number 48, which is the mammillary bodies, a relay station for olfaction or smell. Posterior to that, you have the cerebral peduncles, a white matter pathway that joins the diencephalon to the brainstem below. It's part of the midbrain. Coming out of this area, right below the mammillary bodies, you have the oculomotor nerve, cranial nerve 3. You have a pathway that leads from the third ventricle here into the fourth ventricle down below, and that's the cerebral aqueduct right there. Posterior to the cerebral aqueduct would be the corpora quadrigemini, these mounds right there. And above the corpora quadrigemini, which is made up of the superior and inferior colliculi, you would see the posterior commissure. Here's the anterior commissure there. Those are commissural fibers as well. So the corpora quadrigemini, superior and inferior colliculi, are part of the, with the cerebral peduncle, part of the midbrain structures. As we move down into the fourth ventricle from that cerebral aqueduct, we're now at the level of the pons. Here's the pons. It would connect to the cerebellum, and these would help coordinate skeletal muscle function. This is cerebellum. Arbor vitae, or tree of life, is the folia that represent each of the branches of innervation from that cerebellum and communicate with the pons. Down below that is the medulla. This is the medullary portion right here. And this medulla oblongata is going to be part of the brainstem, controlling tidal breathing with respiratory, cardiovascular, and vasomotor centers within it. From the fourth ventricle, we make CSF here, and it's going to flow down through the median aperture into the central canal down below. It will also come out of the sides into the lateral apertures and in the meninges that surround the brain and provide fresh CSF in that flow in those areas. That's everything.